What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Respect Her Game. I'm Laura Stickells. Annabelle Hasselbeck is joining me today from Nashville. We'll get into that in a minute. We're also going to have Ava Rinker on in about 20 minutes or so. She's a senior playing for UConn women's hockey, which was ranked number 1 in the Hockey East preseason poll. They're also 2-0 to start their Hockey East season after just sweeping New Hampshire. So we're going to get into all of that. But first, this is a very special episode because it is the Annabelle Hasselbeck birthday episode. Happy birthday, AB. I am so happy.
That's so nice of you.
I am
Laura, thank you.
I am so happy to have you as a co-host on this show. And something that I love about birthdays is it's a moment, one, to just reflect on the year and think about all the amazing things that you've done. For you, AB, you've obviously won your second national championship. You graduated from BC. You interned with the Seattle Seahawks. You've really started to launch your career. And I'm just so impressed with everything that you've been able to do. But also, it's a moment, too, for me to be grateful also for the people in my life, especially when it's their birthday. I'm always grateful for you, but especially grateful today, just knowing the fact that, you just graduated from BC, and I really feel, especially with this show, you have so much enthusiasm and desire to make things better, and it's really made me a better reporter, a better broadcaster, and it's pushed me to try to make this show better as well. So I'm grateful for you, and thank you so much for being such a wonderful co-host. I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else.
Well, that is so sweet. First of all, thank you. And thank you to everyone behind the scenes who made that happen. That is so kind of you, Laura. And something I will share is I was actually telling my mom this the other day is I was at Boston College. They had a hockey game going on last winter, and I was able to job shadow. And I didn't know who I was job shadowing. I just knew it was someone named Laura. And it was Laura right here. And Laura, you were so unbelievably kind to me. You were like, please call me after the game. I'll give you all this advice. And seriously, gave me so much energy to jump into this career, and we're just so unbelievably kind. So it's so cool how our paths have crossed, and now I get to be on this show with you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I think about that too. I remember talking to you when you were shadowing me and thinking, oh, this girl definitely has what it takes to be successful, because you truly had so much, like I said, enthusiasm and energy and just desire to really make this work. So I'm so excited now that we get to work together and we get to do this show together. So I hope you have something fun planned in Nashville today.
Thank you. I'm excited. Yeah, my family's in Nashville. They all live here, and I haven't seen them in a little bit. So it's just nice to be with family, see my grandparents, and my dad, my uncle, and my grandfather all coach a high school football team down here, Ensworth High School. They're undefeated, 8-0. They're number 2 in the state of Tennessee. So a lot of exciting things going on down here in Nashville.
Wait, I'm sorry. Your dad, your grandfather, and your uncle all coach a high school football team?
Yes, it is pretty wild. And my cousin is the quarterback. So
oh my God, that team must be electric. We're going to have to dive into that another day. Unfortunately, we have a packed episode, so we're not going to be able to get to that. But yeah, I'd love to hear more about that. Maybe we can chat about that off camera sometime, because that sounds like a dynamite football team.
They're doing really well right now.
Anyways, the Hockey East schedule has been getting underway. The women started a couple weeks ago. The men started 2 weeks ago, but really last week was when every single team got going again. It was my first time back at a hockey rink this season, and being in a hockey rink, indoor sports, man, it just feels so good to me. I love outdoor sports are great. I love covering baseball in the summer. Nothing beats a nice sunny day, but I would say 90% of the time I'm unhappy with the temperature outside. It's either slightly too hot, slightly too cold. But nothing beats indoor sports, just knowing what temperature it's going to be in a rink, even though it's a little bit cold, at least I can prepare for it. But beyond that, it just feels really good to be talking about hockey again. I covered Northeastern Stonehill, and Stonehill is a team that's new to D1 hockey. Last season was their first year playing D1. Before that, they were D3, and that was a great game. The score might not show it because it was 5-1 by the end, but through 40 minutes, that was a really good game. So it was a fun way to get my Hockey East schedule going.
Is there a game coming up, Laura, that you're I have this circle on my calendar that you're really excited for?
I'm always excited for BUBC, that game.
Specifically the Boston College team, obviously.
I think especially last year, BUBC was So I don't think there was ever a year like last year when it comes to that rivalry, because they're playing as number one versus number two in the nation. I think 3 of the 5 times that they played each other, I want to say, because they played each other twice in the regular season, in the Hockey East Championship, in the Bean Pot. Maybe they did just play 4 times, but 3 of the 4 times they played each other, they're playing as number one versus number two in the nation, which is something that they had never been before in the 108-year history of the rivalry. So I think last season, just the energy around that series was incredible. And yeah, so I'm always looking forward to BC. There's nothing compares to that in college hockey.
It's exciting. And I know you prepare so much for those games, and you know everything you need to know and all the storylines. Was there any storyline from the Stonehill Northeastern game that you weren't able to share on air that you can tell us now?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I love that you bring that up, because usually I come in with like 6 or 7 different stories that I want to hit on, and normally I only get to like 2 or 3. But there were a couple, I think especially with Stonehill, considering the fact that they really did struggle last year. They only beat one D1 team last season. So like it was a tough year for them. And they brought in a new head coach, Dave Berard, who has been around college hockey for about 30 years. So a really experienced veteran coach. And I think he's going to turn around the program and make it a respectable team. They beat Merrimack in their first game of the season, and I was curious coming into that game, into the Northeastern Stonehill game, how they would do, because in that Merrimack game, Merrimack actually didn't have a goaltender. They were like using a student manager, which was a crazy story in and of itself. But I was like, okay, maybe like that had swayed the outcome of the game. But and Northeastern has one of the best goalies in college hockey, in my opinion, in Cameron Whitehead, who really came along last year. But right from the jump, like Stonehill played really well. In the first, I would say they controlled most of the first period, actually. In the first 3 shifts, I was like, whoa, like they came out way harder than I expected. Their forecheck was really good. It definitely kind of threw Northeastern's D off a little bit. And it was interesting to see, like Northeastern was able, actually Stonehill scored first, then I think Northeastern was up 2-1 by the end of the second, and then they broke it open in the third. They finally kind of like used their skating and were able to come together. But I think Stonehill could be a team. Do I think they're going to go 500 this season? No. But I think they're a team that people are going to have to watch out for, and you can't sleep on them this season. And the other story, which I think is really cool this year for Northeastern, is that 15 of the 28 players on their roster are new to the team. They're either transfers or they're freshmen. And 15. And when I spoke with their head coach, Jerry Keefe, I was like, Jerry, have you ever had a season like this where you've had this many new players? And he was like, never. It's never been like this. And I was like, how do you handle that? And he was like, I mean, we watch a ton of film. I talked to him on Thursday last week. The game was on Saturday. And he said that they had already had 2 video sessions, and they were only breaking down 5-on-5 play. He's like, we haven't even gotten to special teams, and normally we can break everything down in one session. And it's just like watching a ton of video. And I talked with their captain, Jack Williams, and he was like, yeah, it's doing a ton of bonding exercises outside of the rink, which I already know are important when it comes to college sports. But I think especially for this team and coming together like this kind of late in the game or late in the off season. But yeah, I mean, it was fun to see them really be able to all play together, and it looks like they're going to have some good team chemistry. And in each of the 5 goals they scored, one of the new players contributed to the goal with either the goal or an assist. So yeah, it was a great game. I missed hockey a lot, and it was really fun to get to be back at a rink and getting to share the stories and being around the college kids, because nothing compares to college sports. There's just like a true, honest love for the games that you cover when you're covering college sports. So yeah, a lot of fun.
That is so exciting and crazy to hear about all those new players. And it is funny, like college athletics is relationships with your teammates, where like you need to have that chemistry. You need to have that trust and that loyalty to your teammates on and off the ice. And so it's like, it's not really like a normal friendship where you kind of ease into it, get to know the person, then find out about their family and what their life was like in middle school. Like, no, it's like, boom, what's your deepest and darkest secret? I'm your best friend. Like, we're teammates. You kind of like lock in immediately. So that's really cool to hear about that team.
Yeah, and I would say too, just like obviously NIL things are changing a little bit, but it hasn't really gotten to college hockey yet. And while there are a lot of players on scholarship, there's a lot of players that aren't on scholarship. Like I know when I was at college, I wasn't on scholarship, and so people really play this game of hockey for the love of it. Like most players never make it to the NHL, but they're just doing it because they love it and they have a passion for it. And they have these other interests outside of it as well because they're students too. So yeah, it was really great. And I have Providence ASU this weekend. It's actually my first game. I've covered Providence before, but it's my first game at Providence. So I'm looking forward to that.
So exciting. Well, it's exciting with hockey season coming around, and now you know your outfits. You don't have to worry about it.
Yes,
You can dress warm regardless.
exactly. Well, speaking of outfits and speaking of hockey, there was somebody that made their NHL debut, and that was Jessica Campbell. And I know we wanted to talk about it last week, but we just didn't have time to fit it in. But she made her NHL debut during the NHL opening night. She made history, becoming the first woman to ever coach in an NHL game. And she looked awesome doing it. I mean, check out that white power pantsuit. Like, that looks awesome. I love the whole outfit. But beyond that, I think just the moment and seeing her on the bench of an NHL game was incredible. And I know we talked about this earlier in the summer. We did a whole segment on it where we talked about how important of a hire this was and what a step this was for women in hockey. But I think like actually seeing her on the bench kind of just made the world of difference. And I know even a couple months ago when I was talking about this, I remember saying, you know, there have been other women that have worked on NHL staffs in the past, but I think having someone in a coaching role where they're actually on the bench is going to be huge because people see that on the broadcast. And there was this moment in the Kraken Blues game. It was with 1 minute left in the game. Seattle was down by a goal, and they had just pulled their goaltender, and Jessica was in charge of drawing up a play with the extra attacker to try to get that game to overtime. And there's this moment where she's drawing up on the whiteboard, and the guys are, you know, huddled around her, and it was kind of like an overhead shot on the camera. And it was just like, I think it really kind of caught a lot of people by surprise almost, like how much it kind of impacted them, because that was the frame that people ended up screenshotting and sending around Twitter. And I know that like it kind of took my breath away, but what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, I love that you brought that up and that you said it took your breath away, because that was a really powerful photo. I think for people who are huge hockey fans and people who don't care about hockey at all, like this was such a significant moment in sports. And I think, like you said earlier, we talked about this on the show when she got hired. We did a segment on it, and I think everyone was like, wow, so cool, that's awesome. But I don't think anyone actually realized the significance of it until, you're right, until they saw her on the broadcast, until she got announced in front of that crowd in Seattle at the game. And then seeing that photo that really just went viral. I was in Seattle this summer, and so I now follow a lot more Seattle people than I did before. And the amount of Instagram stories that I was clicking through that just said, this is my city, that's my girl, like people just taking so much pride in the Kraken and the state of Washington for, you know, getting to wear this and getting to really be a part of it and go alongside her. It's such a cool thing to see. And yeah, like you said earlier, absolutely loved her outfit, absolutely loved her hair. The whole time I was like, I should really be thinking about the hockey, but I'm just wondering, how did she do her hair? It's so awesome. I just loved it. So I thought to myself, if I'm ever in a moment of significance like that, I really hope that I'm wise enough to choose a baller outfit.
No, it looked great. Like the hair just kind of tucked behind the ears. I loved the gold hoops, and like I said, like the white pants suit looked awesome. It reminded me of my favorite outfit I wore last year, actually at BUBC. I had this like white blazer on, and I don't know, nothing compares to a white blazer in my opinion. I just think it's so chic. But I think especially that image, like I said, with the 1 minute left remaining in the game when she was drawing up that extra attacker shift, was just the fact that like it was an important moment. like, she wasn't just on the bench to be on the bench. She's not just on the staff to be on the staff. She's on the staff because she's a really good coach and she can be trusted in those moments. Like, she's known for having a great power play mind. And I just think that image of seeing those guys like so invested in what she was saying and it being such an important moment in a game, it just took it to a whole nother level. And yeah, I think that definitely resonated with a lot of people. But I also liked what you said about everybody in Seattle saying how much they loved having her on the coaching staff, because I just feel like the Kraken have been known for really pushing the envelope when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, or even, you know, the environment, and trying to be on the forefront of those issues. And at least it comes off that way from the outside when it comes to, you know, like press releases and what they say they're doing. But as somebody that is really connected to that city, how do you feel like that team really embraces those goals?
Yeah, well, I think it's a really interesting point because you're right. That is something that Seattle as a city has an emphasis on. They've always kind of be the front runner with all of those things. But I think what's really important to note is that the head coach, Dan Bilesma, like he made the point to be like, hey, I know that this is monumental. I know that this is a big deal and it's never been done before. It's not the norm. But he said, but the goal was to get the best coach, and it happened to be Jessica Campbell. And like, I thought that was so important for him to say and come out saying, because you're right, Seattle has always been on that progressive side. They've always made an effort to make sure that they're doing things that, you know, other teams, other organizations might not be doing. They want to be the first to make those changes to elevate their organization in all facets, on the ice, off the ice, on the field, off the field. And so while that's so important and it's just part of Seattle as a city, it is so important that coach was like, no, this is the best fit for our organization regardless. Because a lot of people are going to, you know, when something is not the norm, there's going to be people that say, oh, well, she just got it because she's a female. She just got it because Seattle wanted to be the first to do this, right? Well, it's like, no, the head coach is coming out and saying, this is the right person for the job. And I love that he made an effort to say that because it's really important in this conversation.
Yeah, I think the important distinction is, like, she earned this job. Like, she was the best fit for this job, and that's why she got it. Like, this wasn't about that. But I think the fact that the organization is open to doing things like that is really what makes the difference. You don't want to have an organization that's just closed-minded and isn't willing to push the envelope in those ways. It's not like they were pushing the envelope to make a statement. They did it because she was the best coach available, and the organization just has the right mindset around those things, which I think is so important. The one last thing, too, kind of just going back to the outfit, and I think this is just a good message when it comes to why representation matters, and I even brought this up a couple months ago again when we talked about this, but I think for me, especially in that image of seeing Jessica on the bench, like, as a blonde girl, like, more, you know, petite, that likes to curl her hair and likes, you know, the gold hoops and the white blazers and everything, I could really see myself in her in that moment. And I think a big part of that was because truly, like, I look like her. And I think having it be somebody that really does look like me almost made it more meaningful. And the reason why I bring that up is because there's a lot of women and men and people that are not like me that are really interested in hockey that don't feel represented in hockey right now. And I think it's important to be able to open hockey up for more people, not just, you know, it's great that we have women in there now too, but like, I want to make it more diverse even, like bring more people in so more people can see themselves in those roles. Like, I was able to see myself in Jessica Campbell, and hopefully this is just the first step, but hopefully this opens a door for even more diversity in hockey and even more people to kind of see themselves in those roles as well.
Yeah, this has really sent waves throughout just social media to begin with, when people who saw all those posts happening. And so I think like you said, I think this is just a chain of events that is now going to start rolling. So it's really exciting for the hockey world.
Okay, well, something else that took social media by storm was Boston's NWSL team, which is going to debut in 2026 as a new expansion team in the NWSL. And they announced their team name on Tuesday, which didn't go over, I think, as they expected. They also released a branding video along with it. The new team name is BOS Nation FC. BOS being short for Boston. And the promo video that was announced along with it had the branding of too many balls. Now, I have a lot of thoughts about this. The entire internet had a lot of thoughts about this as well. But basically, it referenced all of the men's teams in the area, saying that there's too many men's teams, no women's teams, and that this team is coming along to change that. I think beyond the fact that just the whole too many balls slogan was extremely uncomfortable to watch in a promo video for an entire minute, the messaging around it was problematic as well, because there have been women's teams in Boston that have been very successful.
Laura, I love the way that you just brought that up, because this was so crazy, and I was glad that other people on social media were speaking their thoughts about it, because I thought to myself, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. Like, I'm not the only one that was a little off-put by this marketing campaign, really, for the team announcement. And I think you're right, even just with the mention of the other women's pro sports, like, from a female athlete's perspective and myself, this did not feel like they were taking the team seriously. And if anything, it actually brought more attention to the men than it did the women. So it was like, wait, we were supposed to make this video about the women, about this team, and we actually just drew more attention to the male sports, which in itself, I don't know about you, but I would love to attach myself to the Celtics, to the Patriots, to the Bruins, to the Red Sox. Are you kidding me? Like, city of champions. Why are we disassociating ourselves from that? So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And like you said earlier, I don't really, with the humor, with the balls and that slogan, how they decided to take the message. If I'm a mom of a daughter who is so excited to bring my daughter to these games and show my daughter the hype video and tell her about this new pro team that's going to be in the Boston area and really, like, buy a jersey, whatever it is, I probably don't feel comfortable showing my daughter this hype video because of the humor that they try to go along with. And she's probably grown up watching these Boston sports teams and love Tom Brady, love the Celtics, goes to Red Sox parades, all the things. And for it to be so off-putting and so almost negative towards the Boston male teams, it really just takes the attention away from what they're trying to do with BOS Nation. So super interesting. I think they completely missed the mark. And yeah, I don't know about this one.
I completely agree with everything that you just said. I think it's also would have been important for them. They should have acknowledged all of the other women's teams that are in the area, specifically PWHL Boston, which just launched and made it to the finals last season, as well as there have been other great women's teams in the area. For instance, your team, which has won 2 national championships in the last 4 years, like that would have been a good team to reference. Like, there have been great college teams as well. I mean, reference the women's Beanpot, which just drew a record crowd for a college women's hockey game in the area. Like, there's so many other moments that you could have referenced saying, like, clearly Boston is on this wave that the entire nation is on, pushing forward women's sports, and like, we want to be a part of that. Like, we're here to be a part of that and bring the NWSL team to the forefront and make this even better, like take this to the next level. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. BOS Nation also, I think, is just a terrible name. The logo reminds me of DraftKings. Like, there's so many things I could say about this. Unfortunately, we can't get into all of it, but I don't know where they go from here. Like, do they release a statement saying that they missed the mark and they're going to try to rebrand, maybe come up with another name? I don't know. I mean, rebranding is an extremely expensive process, and I imagine an NWSL team doesn't have the budget to re-undergo something like that. But yeah, I do feel like they either need to put this far in the past and try to move on from it, but this was not, I think, a great way to really kick off that franchise.
No. And Laura, I know we have to keep going, but I do want to make another point to what you said about like uniting people. If anything, the part that I loved about the video was it talked about Bostonians and it said the word Bostonian. I was like, yes. Like, then I felt, oh yeah, this is my city. I'm included in this team. I want to get on board. But really the whole video was like to pull people apart it was like the whole point is to rally around Boston and Boston sports. And like you said, that just did the complete opposite. So I don't know. I agree. I don't know what they do from here, but completely missed the mark. And yeah, this was a swing and a miss.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, we need to jump into WNBA here because the series is currently tied 1-1. There's 3 games left. We're recording this on Wednesday. This episode comes out on Thursday, and game 3 is actually happening Wednesday night. So it's happening tonight for us. So we will either find out that there is potentially 1 or 2 games remaining there either could be 1 or 2 games remaining in this series. But in any case, I mean, it's been a great series, and the ratings for this finals are at an all-time high. I think I read somewhere that it's up, I want to say 173% from last season, which is incredible, especially because, the stars and like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese aren't in it, but who cares? The product on the court is amazing. There's other stars out there in Sabrina and Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier that have made these games still really engaging. So, Annabelle, for people that haven't watched game 1 or 2, and I guess we're going to be looking now towards game 4 or 5, what are the things that you really feel like they should know if they want to watch these last couple of games?
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, the big question for tonight's game 3, is can the Lynx come out with a hot start? They're at home, which helps. You have your home team, your home crowd, and they really have history on their side. There's a crazy stat that is the winner of game 1 in the last 6 WNBA titles have won the last 6 WNBA titles. So whoever has won game 1 has ended up coming out on top. So even though they haven't had this hot start in either of the 2 games, they have history on their side, which is, you never want to fall back on that because past success does not guarantee future success, but they can hold on to that in their back pocket. So that's just a fun little statistic. But right, like the Lynx have to come out with a fast start. This is also so wild. They've only led for less than 3.5 minutes out of both of the last 2 games. Like, think about that. And you were able to win 1. So it's like, okay, if they were able to come out on top with game 1 and they've only led for 3.5 minutes out of both games, like usually these playoff games, these championship games, they go back and forth, right? Who's up, who's down throughout the entirety of the game. So that's going to be the real question for tonight's game is can the Lynx come out hot and not go down by 18 points, by 17 points? Because now the Liberty, they figured out how to hold the lead, how to execute at the end of the game. Brianna Stewart coming up so clutch with defensive plays. And, when a team is able to get something done and execute it, similarly to what happened in game 1, they're going to be dangerous coming into tonight's game.
Yeah, a couple of quick thoughts on that. I think just your stat on the winning the first game of the series and it being so important, it's especially important when it comes to 5-game series because those series get late really quick. And fortunately, I think the WNBA is going to a 7-game finals format here. But no, I mean, it's still a 5-game finals as it is right now, and these series get late quick. So you're right, it is important to win game 1. I think, though, it was really important for the Lynx to be able to win one of those games in Barclays because that's one of the toughest places to play in the WNBA. Playing in New York or in Brooklyn in front of all of those stars, that is a different kind of level. And I know that people say Minnesota is a great crowd too, but I've also heard that it's more of like a friendly crowd. They're like the Midwest nice crowd. So hopefully they can turn it up a little bit for the next 2 games here. I think one thing too that I noticed is that I think the stars on both of these teams just need to get a little bit more involved. Nafisa Collier for Minnesota, she put up 12 shots in 35 minutes in game 2, which is her fewest since the Olympic break. That's not enough for the best player on your team. And then for New York, Sabrina Ionescu on Sunday scored 12 points in the first quarter, but then only attempted 2 shots from the field after that. Brianna Stewart was better with 21, but what makes that team, what makes the Liberty so dynamic is that they do have that 1-2 punch. So I think those are the things that you should be looking out for in the final couple games of this series. I think it's going to go to 5. What do you think?
I would agree. Playoffs, anything can happen. Any team can win on any given day, and no lead is safe in basketball, right? And in some sports too, but no lead is safe from what we saw in this series. So it's going to be really exciting. I can't wait to watch tonight.
Me too. All right. Well, we're going to toss now to UConn women's hockey player Ava Rinker. She was really nice to give us some time during her midterms week. So I hope you enjoyed this interview. We are so excited to welcome on Ava Rinker to the show. She's a senior at UConn on the women's ice hockey team, and we just found out that she's currently in the middle of midterm. So Ava, thank you so much for making the time today. We're really happy to have you.
No, thank you guys so much. I'm excited.
How is the week of practice going, especially coming off of that sweep over UNH?
We definitely have a really good week ahead of us, and we've been working really hard, and it's just been fun so far. I mean, coming off a weekend like that, just trying to keep up good spirits and keep it going into the next weekend.
Okay, so you guys started the season with a really tough slate. You played number 2 ranked Minnesota first, and then you played number 12 ranked Penn State. You played all 4 games. They were really competitive. You ended up splitting against Penn State, but what was it like to start the season with that kind of competition?
It was definitely an eye-opener, and it was just really good experience for our whole team to find that that rhythm as soon as we got on campus. Pretty much we didn't really have time to think about it too much. It was just get out there and go.
That's awesome. Ava, well, you were Hockey East Defender of the Week last week, so this is really cool that we get to talk to you the next following week. And you had 5 assists, I believe, in those 2 games. Are you more, I know you're a defender, but would you consider yourself I'm defense true and true, or are you more of offensive minded?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I like to play in the offensive zone, but I just really like seeing the ice in front of me, and I don't know, just trying to play with my team, really. So it's not really offense or defense for me.
When you say those games were eye-opening, what kind of was brought to your attention?
Definitely the speed of play, and I don't know, just the how fast the puck could move, trying to keep up with it. Personally, I was just trying to watch what was going on and try to learn from what I was doing and what other people were doing, and just try to keep adding to my own game.
Ava, early on in the season, playing top teams, it's very difficult, right? Because you don't really have your full identity yet as a team. You probably, you're still working out the kinks. You're still trying to figure out lineups, everything, really, your routine. Going into these first couple games, did you guys hype them up oh my gosh, we're playing a top opponents? Or was it more hey, this is any game, start of our season? What was the dialect in your locker room heading into the season?
That was definitely a big topic for us, going into those games and everything. It was more of we came off the Hockey East Championship last year, and we knew that we were right up there with them, and we just kind of took it as normal games, and that we could play with them and just keep going.
What kind of confidence?
Build off and learn.
Yeah, what kind of confidence did you guys have coming into it from last year, especially considering the fact that you did play Minnesota last year in some really tight games as well?
It was more of like I said, we were just trying to learn and build off of everything. It knowing what we did last year, we just wanted to do better, and we knew what we could do, and but yeah.
Ava, winning Hockey East, some people might never even get the chance to play in a championship game in their college career, and that is such a cool moment for your team. What was that like, just having that? I heard your coach say in a post-game speech this will change your life in some capacity, really. And so what was that feeling like, just having that, regardless of whatever happens for, your next senior year? What was that like to win that championship?
It definitely felt like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I was just really happy to experience that, and I was just so grateful for my team and how everything turned out, and I loved it. It was so fun.
What was it like to get to experience that at home in Toscano?
Awesome. I love our rink. It's so cool to be in, and the energy that was there that day, and all the people who were there, it was the best thing ever.
So now what's it like coming into this season as the defending Hockey East champions, not just in the regular season, but in the tournament as well?
I think we think of it more as a like we knew what we did and we're just trying to like go further this year.
Okay, so
Ava,
then
I know
what's
I'm
the
making.
goal?
Oh,
Oh, I mean, we always have big goals in front of us, and I think it's more of just trying to build off ourselves and do better. Um, I think the goal specifically is to go further in the NCAA tournament this year.
well, we
Maybe get to
believe
play
you guys.
against Minnesota again.
I was just gonna ask you that, Ava. I was gonna ask you what team is circled on the UConn women's ice hockey's calendar. So would you say it's Minnesota?
I think it's everyone at this point. We know we're going to get everyone's best game, so I think it's really just focusing on ourselves.
Okay, so you started off Hockey East play with that sweep over UNH. How would you describe just the level of competition in Hockey East this season? I know it took a really big step last year, especially.
Like I said, we're gonna get everyone's best game. Everyone's kind of targeting us at this point, so the level of play in Hockey East is always close, and it's always a tight season with everyone, and like it can go either way at some points. But this year, I think we know what we can do and just keep winning, hopefully.
Ava, I know it's early in the season, but is there something that your team has rallied behind? A phrase, a quote, maybe a certain cheer that you guys have? Is there like a motto that this year's team has gotten behind?
A really popular one with our team and our coaches is pull the sled. It's and it was really big last year for us too, so it was something that carried throughout the year and into this year, and I just think it's like a team motto thing where we all just pull the sled together.
What exactly does that mean, pull the sled together? How did you guys come up with that? That's pretty unique.
There's a picture, and it just represents us as a team, and like our coaches included. I don't know. It's an inside thing, I guess.
Wait, so there's a picture? What do you mean there's a picture? Is it like hung up somewhere, or what is the picture of?
It's it's a picture of like dogs pulling a sled, like the race dogs. I don't if
Like
Yeah,
like
the
in the
just
Huskies pulling
snow
the
and
sled.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it's like one of those pictures, so
you know, that's so
it's cool.
that Ava, that's so funny. So I actually covered sled dog racing for a year when I was in Alaska. So I love that analogy. You pull the sled. That's awesome, and especially with a Yukon tie with the husky, that's perfect.
No, that's
Laura,
so
I just
cool
have to ask,
actually.
Laura, I have to ask you a question. I know this is Ava's interview, but what do you mean you covered sled dog? What was that? What did you cover?
Yeah, so when I lived in Alaska for a year, I covered sled dog racing in Alaska. There was an episode we did kind of at the beginning where I talked about my journey there. So if you're more curious about my journey in Alaska, go check that out. But no, I love that analogy. Pull the sled, everybody pulls together. And I think that's really kind of I covered a lot of UConn women's games last year, and I just felt like you guys played really well as a team, especially the defense. I mean, UConn is known for its defense. So how would you describe the way, like the chemistry that you guys have this season?
Yeah, I mean, we're a pretty close-knit group. So, and if you watch before games, like we're in a little huddle and we really just try to work together, trust each other, and just work from there. And I think we do like a good defense makes good offense kind of mindset. So we just try to do our best on the back end.
Ava, is there something specific that is special to your defense and your group and your unit that you guys rally behind?
Not really. I mean, we just talk to each other all the time, so everything is usually said when it needs to be said. So
Well, you've got two of the top goaltenders in the country behind you guys as well. So what's it like getting to play in front of them?
awesome. They are so easy to trust on the ice, and just know that we have the best people behind us, and they let us go off and do our thing on the other end.
I mean, they're both so good, but what makes each goalie unique?
Um, Maybe communication, like on the bench, off the bench, away from the ice. Um, yeah, I mean they're pretty similar. I mean it's funny though.
Ava, now that you're a senior, looking back on your time at UConn, what is unique in this year's team compared to teams in the past?
Uh, I'd probably say like our ability in the offensive zone and just creative like playmaking and like different ways of getting the puck in the net. I'd say.
That's really interesting. How do you feel like you've been able to take that step this year? Because, like I said, you guys were more known for your defense, not necessarily your high-powered scoring. So, what's allowed you to take that step?
I would probably say like I just the confidence like coming off of last year, like knowing what we have done and just trying to bring new things to our game.
Ava, off the ice, because I know you guys spend hours and hours and hours in the rink, in the films, in meetings, in the training room. What does your team do off the ice to really bond?
We we honestly hang out at the rink a lot, which is weird. But away from the rink, it's like always school, so we try to help each other in those ways. Or maybe it's a bunch of us going somewhere to study, or it's yeah. I mean, we just do a lot together, really.
Something that
School
I'm
and
really
hockey.
yeah, school and hockey. Something that I'm really curious about too is just the fact that I mean UConn is known for having some really strong women's teams, especially women's basketball players. What's it like getting to be a part of something like that?
It's awesome. I mean, the athletes on campus, like just knowing you're a part of it is really cool. So it's a cool community to be around. Um, and just a recognition is like pretty cool, which like I don't know. It's cool to experience.
Yeah, I was a student
Ava,
athlete at Stanford, and I remember when I was lifting once, Katie Ledecky was lifting next to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is a wild experience." Was there a similar experience for you, or maybe you were doing a workout, or you're doing a lift, or were in class, and you're like, "Wow, like I can't believe that I am a student athlete alongside this person."
Yeah, there's a lot of times like you're walking across campus or something and you see like some big basketball players like Paige Beckers or something like that. It's just cool to know that like they're normal people too. They go to class. And yeah, you'll see them studying and it's just cool to be like, oh, I'm doing the same thing as them.
I love that you said that, Ava. And I actually was on a recruiting visit years ago to UConn for women's lacrosse. And I think we spent like almost just as much time in the basketball arena than we did like on the field because they just wanted to show us like, hey, this is our women's basketball team and like really hype that up, which I was like so in awe of because I played AAU basketball. I thought it was the coolest thing. I was like, oh my gosh, they might get me just because of the basketball team. So it's so fun, like you said, to just be a part of a culture where athletes are supporting other athletes. Do you go to a lot of other, I mean, we talked a little bit about this before the show started. You have a job on campus. Can you tell us a little bit about your job in athletics?
No, yeah, it's a great way to stay in the sports world and just like experience other sports, which is like crazy because I'm always around ice hockey. So like going to soccer games, learning about that game. I do a lot of the stats, whether it's like the live updates online or whether it's like being on the field, like recording subs. But yeah, I mean, it's just really cool to be around athletes.
I know senior year is always tough because people are always asking you what's next, but now that you've gotten to have this experience in athletics and you found out that you really like it, what's next for you?
That is a hard question. I definitely want to
I could
stay
say,
in the sports
yeah,
world.
what do you want to be next for you? I should say that.
I recently picked, or this past like summer, I picked up a minor in data analytics. So I'm thinking maybe more of like staying in the sports world with like the numbers game, sort of like trying to help like build a game off of numbers. It's hard to explain, but it's cool.
Wait, no, same way. I was a data science minor at Stanford, so I'm very curious. Can you explain a little bit more what you mean, like build a game off of numbers?
So like we work with heart rate monitors, like our team, and I just think it's cool how you can like build a practice off of like knowing what some numbers mean with like your heart rate or like how many calories you're burning and like how you can like kind of train off of like workloads and all that. So I think that stuff is really cool, and I'm not sure.
How much like information that you've gotten about your own body doing this research have you been able to kind of implement yourself?
I definitely know when I need to do more recovery, and just trying to stay healthy, because that's like one of the hardest parts with how long our season is. So knowing when recovery is more important and when I'm not doing what I know I should be doing on the ice, it can really determine what I need to do off the ice.
Ava, that's a great point that you make about how long your season is and having to do so much, probably off the ice, just to stay healthy and to stay primed, right? You might be healthy, you might have no injury, but you still have to do extra foam rolling, seeing the trainer extra, maybe getting treatment. What's like the non-negotiable for the UConn women's ice hockey team? Is it you have to ice bath? Is it you have to drink a chocolate milk? Is it you have to foam roll before practice? What's like the non-negotiable in your program?
We don't really have like hard cut rules like that. I mean, I feel like we're all on top of our own stuff, so we don't really need that extra like person telling us that we need to do this, we need to do that. We're all pretty responsible in that aspect.
Well, Ava, thank you so much for the time. We know you have to go. I know you've got midterms to study for and games to prep for too, but thank you so much for taking the time to join the show today. We really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thank you guys so much for this. This was really fun.
We want to thank Ava again for coming on. It was really great talking to her, learning more about the culture around UConn women's hockey this season. But we want to talk a little bit more about some of the outfits, because I know we talked about Jessica Campbell's outfit earlier in this show, but as the WNBA season winds down, we need to talk a little bit more about some of the outfits in the WNBA, because there is really nothing like some of the outfits that these women wear. I mean, they range from the like super high class satin gowns to like tracksuits like we see Sabrina wearing right here. I know this was one that you picked, AB. What is your thoughts on this outfit?
My first thought, like honestly, I was just scrolling fast on my phone and I was like, I need these pants. And then I realized I was like, oh, it's her like walk-up fit. It's her, fit to go into the game. And so, yeah, I love the pants. I think this stripe down the side is a really fashionable trend right now. And so I thought Sabrina did a great job of, like you said, some women are wearing more fancy, fits and styles. And this was so elegant, but kind of baller at the same time. And yeah, I just absolutely loved the color coordination and really the pants. So I would love to find out where those are from.
Okay, so I saw a pants kind of similar to them at Abercrombie, I think, with the stripe down the side, but they're not those. I gotta say, I like those pants better, the ones that Sabrina's wearing. I just love an all black outfit. Like, I just feel so like sleek and put together when I'm in all black. I feel like I am kind of, I always get self-conscious, like, oh, am I being boring because I'm wearing all black? But I see that outfit, I'm like, oh my God, she looks awesome. Like, love the all black. No, love that outfit. Sabrina crushing it on the court and in the hallway fits. You know what's something, though, that just cracks me up about these hallway, or I shouldn't say hallway fits, but like walk-in fits, is that they're like in the, and I never really noticed this about the men when they do their walk-in fits, but like they're, where is that, It's just so funny. Like,
Yeah, well, it's under the arena, and I think what you're talking about here is like for some of the men's photos that we've seen, and I think we have a few other photos to show that are more in a hallway. That one was kind of out in the open, like this.
Well, that's a good one because you literally see like some of the equipment to the side, and you're right, like this is under the stadiums, and this is when these walk-in Fitz shoots take place is when they're walking into the stadiums through the tunnels, and this is what those tunnels look like. But it's just so funny. Like, this is Olivia Nelson-Ododa, and she's fully glammed out, like walking past, I don't know, what is that, like a type of forklift, I think?
Be something. No, but even though there's those things down there, it is cool to have them highlight this and it's really why we started doing this segment, is because this was never a thing last year. Even this wasn't a thing that we were seeing on our Instagrams or other social media. So I actually love this. I like the red. I think the glasses are a fun touch. You never would think, oh, I'm gonna use glasses indoors as part of an accessory, but Joe Burrow kind of started the trend, so now we're doing it.
Yep, and I love the red fishnets and the trench coat. Great vibe. Just to clarify, like, I love it. Keep doing it. I just get a kick out of the forklifts and, the random equipment that's down there as well. It makes me laugh. It puts a smile on my face. All right, next up, I think we've got Nafisa Collier in this very nice, silky black dress, kind of with the sequin shimmers. I think this must have been a home game for the Lynx because it looks like she's outside a locker room or something right there. But yeah, really sleek look. Another all black look for Nafisa Collier.
Yeah, I love the studs on this one. I can't tell if it's like, bedazzled or just studs, like crystals, whatever it is, but it's very cool. And like you said, the all black fit is very flattering.
All right, well, our last one is Breanna Stewart. This one cracks me up. So if you can't totally see it on this frame, but if you really zoom in, you can see that there's like little beaded tassels all over it, which it's quite the look. And this is something you can only wear if you're like one of the best in the world at playing basketball. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
We're zooming in.
You have to be a baller to wear this.
You have to be
only Brianna can wear this.
Yeah, check those out. Oh my gosh. I mean, nobody, like if I wore this, it would be laughable, but this is the type of thing that you can wear if you're the best in the world at what you do. So love it from Breanna Stewart. What would you wear? Like if you were like elite at something, what would you wear?
That is an amazing question. You put me on the spot there. Honestly, I don't know if I would have the boldness to do something very out of the box like that. But I think the wildest thing I could do, I do like the sunglass look. Like I think it's a fun thing, even though you're inside. So I think I'd throw some on there. Low key though, this might sound really weird and I'm not sure why this popped into my head. But when I was a child, I loved Heelying. Like I absolutely love to Heely. And so maybe I would roll in on some Heelys. It's kind of, a little kid thing, but I think it'd be fun. I did that in high school a little bit on some of our game days. So maybe I would do that.
My cousin who's 26 just bought a pair of Heelys, so they might be coming back in style. Okay, really quick. We got to get to our wins of the week. I'll go first. Cameron Brink, speaking of the WNBA, and I think she might have done this a while ago, but it might have just resurfaced on Twitter recently because I believe it was done for TikTok. She went around Stanford's campus. Must have been when she was still a student. She went around Stanford's campus and measured the men on campus with a measuring tape. She asked them how tall they were, and then she fact-checked them with a measuring tape. She's like, I'm 6'4", so I know you're not. So that was amazing. It made me laugh. She is so funny, and yeah, great sense of humor. What's yours?
I think I've seen that video too, and it's so funny. Just like her confidence to go do that is hilarious. Okay, mine is super exciting, very recent. Ruth Chepngetich, Kenyan runner, broke the world record for the fastest marathon run by a woman. She did this at the Chicago Marathon. She ran in 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 56 seconds, breaking under 2:10. She's running like a 4:57 mile, okay? That is like 4:57. Absolutely insane. So I know how much hard work goes into these marathons. I had a few family and friends running it, but so happy for her. And she said, I prepared well. I felt so great. I'm proud of myself. So shout out to Ruth.
Awesome. That's great. Well, happy birthday to you, AB. Thank you for watching another episode of Respect Your Game. We'll be happy to have you back here in Boston soon. And we'll see all of you guys watching next week.